Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're doing lesson 13-3, comparing by weight. Okay, so we're looking at weight, how heavy things are. So we're going to try to use objects today that's going to be very obvious and clear for us to see which is heavier. So in front of you, Marta is looking at, well, she's looking at us, but next to Marta is a scale. Okay, it's a very basic scale. It's not the kind of scale you would stand on at the doctor's office to see how much you weigh. It's a scale you would use to tell which item is heavier or to tell if two items are balanced and the same. Which side do you think would have a heavier object on right now? You see how one side is up and one side is down? If I have two items, say a book and a pencil, think about which one would go in which spot. Think about why. Why do you think that? Where do you think your pencil would go, and where do you think a book would go? So, which one do you think is lighter? A book, like say maybe your writing journal. That's a book we all have. Your writing journal or a pencil. Which one do you think is lighter? Weighs less and is easier to hold because it's not so heavy. I would say the pencil is the lighter object, and it goes up on this side. Oh, that's not a great pencil line. It goes on this side of the scale, which means that the book goes on the other side of the scale. Now, can you kind of start to explain out in your heads, why would it go that way? Why does that make sense? Well, the pencil is lighter than the notebook. Okay, so the notebook is on the side that goes down because the scale moves down with a heavy item, and the pencil, it doesn't weigh as much as the notebook, so it doesn't pull the other side of the scale down. So that side of the scale is up high because it's lighter. Okay, so we're gonna go back and forth and try a few of these, okay? So, see how Marta has her scale up on top? So you see in the first section, you see here, an apple is heavier than a cherry. So the apple side goes down. But if I take that cherry out and put another apple in, they're the same. It doesn't matter what color the apple is, they're both apples. And we're guessing that they're apples that are the same size. So they are even, and it's straight in between. Neither one is slanting down. So if I take that apple out yet again and put in a watermelon, it's going to tip in the opposite direction because the watermelon is heavier. Okay, so down below you see we have some samples. We are circling the TV and putting an X on the DVD. Why do you think that is? What are we circling and what are we Xing? What can you tell about those two items? The TV would be heavier than the CD. Or you could say the CD is lighter than the TV. Okay, so let's take a look at the one next to it, number 2. We have a big old heavy, I said something, big, huge book. Looks like it's got a very firm, knock-on kind of front cover. And then a thin little magazine. Which one are we going to circle and which one are we going to put an X on? Just go back and forth. Did you say X on the magazine and circle the big, heavy book? The Stammers let that word slip. If you're paying attention, you'll catch me a lot of times. But you got to be paying attention. So now let's go to number 3. We have what looks like a cell phone and a computer. So we're circling the ones that are heavier. So who are we going to circle? Would you want to circle the computer? You should. And that means that the phone is lighter, so we put an X on him. What about the box of crayons and one single crayon? I think that's pretty easy. Yeah, right? Okay, let's try a few more. A lot of this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call common sense. You can kind of look at the items and figure which one is which. I'm not looking at the directions on the bottom. We're going to continue with the same thing. So the first example up here, we have, it looks like some wheat bread and maybe some pumpernickel or some rye or marbled. What should we do there? There's two pieces of bread. They're different colors, but they're kind of the same shape and size. Does anyone have a guess what we might do in that situation? What do you think about those two pieces of bread? Would you underline them? I would underline them. I think that's a solid thing to do. Let's look at the backpack and the sheet of paper. Oh my goodness gracious, this feels so easy. Did you superstars say circle the backpack and put an X on the piece of paper? All right, let's see who knows their fruits. I have an orange and I have a cherry. What should I do there? Well, if you know your fruits, you should know that a cherry is very small and light, and that orange is heavier and bigger. What about the little bedside night alarm clock or a big, huge wall clock? Yeah. Should we underline these because they're both bananas? I mean, they're the same thing, right? It's bananas. So I should underline it, right? Why not? Oh. Did you realize that this has at least 4 bananas and this has 1 banana? They might be the same thing. They might look kind of alike, but there's more in this bunch. This is a bunch. This is just one by himself. So we're not grouping them or deciding if they go together. We're saying there's more here in the bunch, so we circle it. Okay, over here we have a ring and we have a bracelet. We're going to assume certain things they're not telling us. We're going to assume that ring, being that it's so much smaller and this bracelet has so many things on it, we're going to assume that ring is lighter. We can't be sure, but you go by, on an assignment like this, we're kind of going to go by what makes sense. All right, what do we got next? Okay, so take a look at numbers 11, 12, 13, and 14. I want to give you a minute at least to take a look and decide which is which. All right, I'm just going to go ahead in and do this. Heavier, lighter. Lighter, oh, sorry, I have to put an X on the child, on the baby. Heavier. The same. Heavier, lighter. Okay, so over here on the scale, I'm going to skip number 15, the crayon. They would ask you to draw something that is the same weight as the crayon. Since we don't have it in front of us, I would say really there's not a lot of things you could draw there, but maybe another crayon or a marker, or not a marker, maybe a pencil, things like that. But we're not going to worry about finding things that are the exact same weight. What I'm going to ask you to do is to think about at home, what could you draw on the two sides of a scale? Take a look at some of the printables. If you print them out, great. They'll have some that you can try and do your own. But if you don't print them out, think about drawing your own. Draw one up high, draw the other down low, and show the up high one should be lighter, and the one that goes down low is because it's heavier and it's pulling the scale down, okay? There will also be a flip grid. You'll see mine. You'll see it's a little, you have to reason it out, okay? You have to reason it out with heavier and lighter. You have to do things that make sense. We're not asking you to put anything on a scale of any kind, okay? Things that you can tell by looking at them, which is heavier and which is lighter. I wouldn't put two students next to each other because you guys are, unless I was going to say you were equal, I wouldn't put you two next to each other because I don't know. So go with things that are obvious, like a child and a grown-up, obviously bigger, okay? So try on the flip grid to find your own. Just find two things that you can tell show clearly which one is heavier and which one is lighter. Can't wait to see you guys. Bye-bye.